Welcome to another Wardy's Waffle. This is a bit of a day early on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday, but quite a lot of content at the minute. And I think I'm going to keep the videos a bit shorter than I have been doing. So I'm going to try and do them 15 to 20 minutes long each time. So that might mean we get 2 or 3 or even 4 a week. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, I'm just nipping off to an agri, well, not an agri actually, it's a sort of a bit of a retirement party for Colin Lloyd. Colin is the sort of guru from Agri who does all their variety trials and talks about the wheat varieties and knows them inside out. He's retiring and you've seen him on my videos. Superb chap, done a huge amount for the industry. I've got to know him exceedingly well, has done a lot for me and a lot for the farm here, and really likeable character. So just off to Stowlonger, which is near Huntingdon, for a bit of a retirement get together and a barbecue for him. But it's not real barbecue weather. If you can see now, that's what I'm in against. It is raining, and it is raining really hard, which is great because the sugar beet just here, this is the house where Rhonda and I are living at the minute. The sugar beet just outside the house here is will really benefit on this light land. Anyway, this is the update we've got for you. We're looking at the blackgrass pullers and how we're getting on with those. We are moving some beet soil, some sugar beet soil onto the area, onto a little headland. Tom has also soloed an area of ground that was wet. Remember, we couldn't drill a headland after sugar beet. Tom soloed that while we're in Wales, and Ruben's been spreading the beet muck on that. I'm putting some fertiliser on, getting the spreader ready to put some fertiliser on. You'll see us doing that in the next update. And we're also subsoiling an old menage. So outside the new house, in the paddock out the front, near the pond, some of you have seen it, we pulled a menage up, horse menage, what my daughters used when they were younger, and we got rid of the stone and we got rid of all the sand. I sold this riding surface, and it's been stood in water. So we've had this down, I think, about 30 years. So this area of ground, when you see the tractor moving on it in a minute, the 8RX, it hasn't had anything done to this ground for 30 years, and it's been under 2 feet of stone. So you'll see how hard it is. Anyway, that's enough from me. I need to get off to Huntingdon. Here you go with this update, and we'll see you at the end. Thanks very much for watching. So I've just got here to Huntingdon to the event for Colin Lloyd. As you can hear on the roof, it's raining. You can see there. Just before I get into this week's update, I just wanted to touch on TB in Wales. Good friend of mine and a few others, some of you know him, Steve Evans in Wales. He's had a big bout of TB. I'm going to touch on it more in this next update in another few days' time, or Sundays. I might even try and get a clip from him. But the Welsh do not agree with badger culling, but it proves in this country that it really does work. And this is a statistic from the effects of badger culling in this country, and badgers do carry TB. And he's going to lose a huge amount of money. He's probably going to lose upwards of £500,000 through his dairy cows having to go, which is 100 of them, and loss in milk sales. So huge thing. But the Welsh government need to get on this. They cannot keep paying out for farmers who have to have cattle slaughtered because of TB and not doing anything about the source of where the infection comes from. And I'm going to have more of this in the next update or Sunday's update. Anyway, that's enough for me now. Let's crack on. Here we are with this update. It's Monday morning and the blackgrass pullers arrived at 6 AM. Bit of a hold up because half the team couldn't work a sat nav and they didn't get here till 7:15. It's now about 7:15. Just fetched the blackgrass welfare trailer, you know, we've got here that we use. Just stopped alongside this field of wheat, and I'll just flick the camera around, but it's amazing how things have changed in the last week. So this field of wheat was green when Rhonda and I went to Wales just over a week ago. It's after beans. It's a variety called Gleam. It's one of our best looking crops at the minute, but it's amazing how it started. In fact, I'll just get out how it started to senesce and lose its greenness and start to prepare itself for harvest. When you can see now, a lot of the green leaf area now, just pull a plant here. A lot of the green leaf area here is going, and that's not from disease. That's from it just generally beginning to ripen. You can see some of the ears starting to bleach. Good size ears on these as well. But generally, yeah, it's amazing the crop, how it changes in such a short space of time. So here's the trailer. I'm just going to take it round the corner through those trees where the blackgrass pullers are. Really bright sunny start this morning, and a bit wet or damp because we've had a bit of rain last night. Not too much though. There's a pile of blackgrass and more oats there that they've pulled from this field. What they're doing actually now, there is 3 of them. The late ones are somewhere through there. You can see they're just going around the outside, but I can just spot in the distance on the corner. Can you see those light coloured plants sticking up above the wheat? They are oats, they want pulling. So I've just asked them, they're just going around the outside of this field, because there's just sort of the outside 16-20 metres, there's a few oats have sprung up since they did this, because they did do this field about 3 weeks ago. Just looking at the sugar beet as we drive past, this has really changed as well in a week. Just see how much, you can just make out the rows, but it's virtually met in the middle now of the rows, which it has, and really improved a lot over the last week. Staggering to think it was only planted on May the 5th, how crops can make up. But it's the root size that matters on the sugar beet, it's what's below the ground that really matters. Top size, obviously we don't get paid for tops, we get paid on sugar beet and sugar. This is the heavier side of the field, you can just see this outside where it's not quite so good. But generally that sugar beet's improved enormously, and the hoeing has definitely helped. So this is the field where we had a lot of water stood in the winter time, so I'm going to park it on here because it's firm at the minute, just keep it off the lane. So I'll drop the jack down and drop it off here, and it'll be fine here for today. You can see the edge here has been sprayed off because there's quite a lot of oats in this corner. I sprayed this off a couple of weeks ago. There's some there to pull, and this field I thought those were going to be sprayed off there, but Ruben hasn't done those. But there's a few here to pull, but those up there, there's too many there to pull. Rather going to have to mow them, but I think they're probably too far gone now to spray. I think the seeds are starting to be viable. There, that's got the trailer left ready for them on the edge of the field there. So just finishing off talking about the blackgrass pullers at the minute. They are just going around these fields just a second time on the outsides because there's been some late germinating wild oats have come through, or it's some they missed first time, and it is nearly getting too late for them because the seeds are starting to be viable if we're not careful. This is the reason why when we have these gang of people in, that we really need a lot of people to get around the land quicker. We normally have about 10. This year we've gone to a new agency and we've only had probably 9, I think, on 2 days out the last month that we've been doing it. We've been doing the whole pulling now about a month, and it makes no difference in cost if you think about it, whether you have 5 people and it takes you a month, or you have 10 people and you do it in 2 weeks. The cost's the same because you don't have as many hours if you've got more people, or it doesn't take you as long in duration. And of course the other thing is it takes a fair bit of managing. How we do it, we're always talking to the blackgrass pullers, making sure they're in the right field, making sure they're doing a good enough job, and like you've just seen me now, moving the welfare trailer. So the longer we have them, the longer it takes up our time managing them, which when we're getting nearly ready to harvest we could do without, to be honest. So I'm going to have to just have a word with the agency and see if we can get some more, get the gang back up to 8 or 10 for when we start the spring crops, which will be this afternoon. So out the back of the old house, this is obviously the new one here, but this was the menage, what my daughters had for the ponies many years ago. We pulled this up finally about 2 years ago, and we're going to reseed it, put some more soil on and reseed it, but it's compacted badly. So Tom's just put the flatliner, the 3.8 metre Simba subsoiler on, just to rift it up because it's had water stood on it all winter. So we're going to get it rifted up. There's 1 or 2 drains underneath it probably from the horse days, but we'll go through those. It's only plastic pipe. We haven't used this subsoiler for probably, I think, 4 years. We put a new roller on it, made one ourselves. It is in a big depth. You can see, looking at it, lifting it. So we made this roller ourselves, put those nodules on it to help it grip. It's that hard, look, you see it's struggling to go in. Might have to do it twice. You can see how deep the legs are, or how long the legs are rather. Yeah, I think the top link wants shortening to make it go in a bit. I think that's what Tom's just done. Really lifting that up, but she's doing a good job. Tom's just backing up and doing it again. Crossway on, but we've got to be very careful because it is pulling a few holes out. You see there, it's moving a lot of soil now. This is the first time we've used it since putting this new roller on. Doing a good job. All that is industrial van tyres on a steel tube with the Aquio roller, what do you call it, nodules bolted into the tyre so the roller can get grip. So it's just backing up. So it's 7 legs, 3.8 metres wide. There's a big ridge here, and it's look at the track going up and down, and it's pulling it through, partly leveling it. There we go. So we've got the spreader on, ready for putting the compound fertiliser on the stewardship areas. So we've got some of the bags here. They're in 600 kilograms each bag, and there's 1,000 kilograms to a tonne. And we've got 16% nitrogen, 16% phosphate and 16% potash and 8% sulphur. I didn't really want the sulphur, I didn't realise it was having that. Obviously it's only what they'd got. You see 600 kilograms in a bag. So this is what we use for cutting bags open. It's an old hedge knife, and keep it sharp. This is what when we used to use a lot of bags fertiliser, is what we used to use. So now we're at 600 kgs in. You can see the different colours of it. Brilliant little spreader this. You can't see now in the bottom because the fertiliser covered it, but the feed roller, there's one in that side and then there's one in that side underneath there. Feeding it nice and even in the rollers. We're just moving the soil from out the sugar beet cleaner loader when this field behind us was sugar beet. If you remember, it was last year, end of last year when it was lifted, and this soil, it always goes really wet. It stinks as well, it's just awful stuff. But we're putting it out on this bit of waste ground, and then it'll be able to be incorporated in. And Tom put the solo on it while I was in Wales last week, so he has soloed it. So he has worked this with the solo, and then we're going to do a bit more to it, level it out. Not quite sure what crop's coming in this field this next time. It might be oats, probably, because it was sugar beet last year with neonic treated seed, so we can't put spring beans in it because we need a 32-month gap from sugar beet with neonics treated seed to another flowering crop such as rape or linseed or beans. Ruben's just back blading it with the bucket just to try and level it out. You can see all the heaps behind him. God, it does smell though. It always does when you leave it, I don't know why. Normally we put it out after harvest, but got this bit of waste ground here, best way of doing it. Big heat there. Barley looks well. Remember, this is the beet field that we had to drag on the frost in January because it was too wet. We couldn't do anything with it before that, after the sugar beet was lifted in December. There's Tom with the RX and the subsoiler just down that bottom corner. So while I was away in Wales last week, one of these areas on the end of the field, you remember it was really wet from the sugar beet harvester, and Tom nearly got the drill stuck when he was drilling this crop. You can see this bit behind me here. We got it soloed while I was away, and it's pulled it up really rough. You'll just see from this. You can see there how dry and hard it is. There's my foot, you can see big lumps. Really dry and hard here. It's such a job to sprinkle it out of the bucket because it just comes out in one big wet lump if you're not careful. So that's it for this midweek update, or early midweek update. I'm at the Agri function sort of recognising the fantastic work Colin Lloyd's done. I'll touch on that in the next update. I've also got this Lemkin drill here that the farm's using. Apologise for the wind, I'll just try and shelter if I can. I don't know whether that's better or not. What is it? It's a demo unit, solitaire drill. And we'll touch on this in the next update. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching, if you've made it this far, and we'll see you. I might try and get another update in before Sunday. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.